Do you agree with the pardon of CZ, the founder of Binance, who helped funnel money into Moss? Do you agree with the pardon?
There's no question that Donald
don't do the
Trump
politician thing.
No,
Do you
there's
agree
no
with the
question
pardon?
that Donald Trump has been pro-crypto.
Uniquely
he
corrupt.
ran on saying,
it's not
I'm pro-crypto. We're going to pass the Genius Act, which they did.
Yeah.
We're going to
He's so
deregulate
pro-crypto
crypto.
that
We're going to have crypto. We're going to be the
rich as hell.
Adam Mockler appeared as a guest on Abby Phillip's show, where he went head-to-head with a far-right MAGA supporter sporting a beard as they clashed over Donald Trump's corruption. We're going to watch some clips from this panel featuring Adam Mockler, Joe Borelli, Ashley Allison, and several others. I also have a few thoughts to share along the way, so let's dive and see how this debate unfolds together.
Well, tonight, what would those same people call Donald Trump and his family? Because we're learning just how much richer the presidency is making Trump. According to a new financial disclosure, the president made more than $1 billion in his first year of back in office from crypto ventures alone. He made more than $500 million from the sales of tokens tied to firms managed in part by his sons, and another $635 million from a licensing agreement with Celebration Coins. And even Mar-a-Lago earned him more than $70 million in that 1 year. According to the New York Times, one of his biggest hauls in 2025 came when an investment firm tied to the United Arab Emirates bought nearly half of the Trump family's main crypto company, World Liberty Financial, a transaction that blurs the lines between foreign policy and private enterprise. Now, the scope and the scale of Trump's holdings continues an unprecedented streak of profit-making for a sitting president. But while the White House denies any conflicts of interest, Trump has promoted businesses and policies that stand to benefit him and his family, particularly in the area of crypto. Now, before we open it up to the table here, I want to invite you at home to join this debate. Go to cnn.com/Abby and weigh in, and we'll get to some of your comments throughout the show. But let's start with the billions of dollars that Trump has made in just 1 year. It's an astounding amount of money, Joe. And I wonder how you justify that after all the years of Republicans making a huge issue out of Hunter Biden, making perhaps let's be generous, $4 or $5 million.
Well, it's not the dollar amount per se. It's the potential quid pro quo. It's also a chain of emails that were found on his laptop, essentially saying put 10% aside for the big guy, meaning the person in office, the person who's covered by conflict of interest laws, the person who's covered by public officers law, not necessarily Hunter Biden himself. There is a differentiator. There's a difference there.
So that's, let's say that that's all true. So are you concerned about Donald Trump, literally on paper, he disclosed it, making over $1 billion just from crypto alone, including a transaction that involves a foreign nation, that he is literally right now, as we speak, involved in very delicate negotiations on behalf of the United States when it comes to the war that's going on in the Middle East?
We should all be concerned about people in public office profiting off their office. That's why there is disclosure.
So are you concerned?
Trump's disclosure was 927 pages. He's one of the top 1% wealthiest Americans.
So are you concerned?
That's not a secret. I'm not a secret because I can look at the document and see what's there. We're talking about it right now.
Are you concerned about how much money Trump has raked in 1 year?
Am I concerned with a billionaire making more billions on more money? No, I'm not. In fact, look, nobody, let me just sum up. Nobody who voted for Donald Trump, a guy with skyscrapers with his name on it, with a plane that has his name on it, is suspect of him making money. That's not the problem.
Let me get this straight.
He made his whole career talking about how much money he made.
Donald Trump, in the year before he was president, 2024, made, let's call it an eighth. It's a fraction of it. It's like about $500-600 million in total in 2024. Now we're looking at billions of dollars. So the amount of money that the president has raked in while sitting in the White House is beyond anything that I think people can even conceptualize. We are talking about billions of dollars.
You're using innuendo and conjecture to say there's something nefarious. There's no actual evidence.
It's actually just a fact that the only thing that's changed about Donald Trump is that he's president now.
Joe, you make a great politician.
Before we get to Adam Mockler's part, I want to point something out. The MAGA potato, Joe Borelli, says, I'm very concerned about people making money while they're in office. Then Abby Phillip asks, so are you concerned about Donald Trump? Of course, he's not concerned because it's Donald Trump. That's how it always works. If the conversation is about Joe Biden or even Hunter Biden making money while Joe Biden was in office, they're outraged. I mean, Hunter Biden wasn't even in office, but they'll still bring him up. But when it's Donald Trump, suddenly none of it matters because, according to them, Trump is already a wealthy guy, so they just don't care. It's such a ridiculous argument. I say this all the time on my show. They're completely immune to hypocrisy. Abby Phillip tries to point out the obvious contradiction in what the MAGA potato is saying, but it makes no difference. He simply brushes right past it. Now let's hear what Adam Mockler has to say.
The part that we're missing is this $2 billion investment from the UAE was facilitated by the founder of Binance, CZ. The founder of Binance was subsequently pardoned by Donald Trump, and Trump has benefited off of this crypto. He leveraged the hype of his inauguration to the day before announce a cryptocurrency named Trump Coin, but that wasn't enough because then he announced Melania Coin, but that wasn't enough because then he created this pardon economy where people can pay into his campaigns or his family and they get directly pardoned. Do you agree with the pardon of CZ, the founder of Binance, who helped funnel money into Moss? Do you agree with the pardon?
There's no question that Donald Trump has been, there's no question that Donald Trump has been pro-crypto.
Uniquely
he
corrupt.
ran on saying,
It's not
I'm pro-crypto. We're going to pass the Genius Act, which they did.
Joe.
We're going to
He's so
deregulate
pro-crypto that
We're
he's
going to have crypto.
making
We're going to
himself rich as hell.
We're going to be the crypto capital
My
of the world.
friend Joe.
It's no
So
surprise
Hunter
that
Biden
he's
is
investing.
pro-painting. Hunter Biden didn't hide the fact that he's pro-painting.
No, Hunter Biden was
Let me
pardoned
help
for
you,
crimes
Joe.
he may have not committed.
Donald Trump
That's
has
a different
pardoned
standard. So
thousands
when you
of
talk
people.
about pardons, let's not forget the fact that the previous president had to pardon his son for crimes
What about
he
the
may
fact
have
that
committed.
he removed terrorists
This
from
president didn't have to do that when he
Joe,
left office.
can I just add, okay.
Not yet.
I just have a couple questions. So I don't think that public officials should be making money that on the backs of the American people or using the American interest to make money. Perhaps Hunter Biden did it, and perhaps Donald Trump is doing it. But I actually wonder if the American people actually care. I'm not sure that they do. So if we want to concede the point that they're like, you know what, you're the president, we live in a capitalist society, let's do it. I think my biggest issue is that Americans are suffering right now, and he just made $1 billion. And so the people who voted for him, I just want to ask them, did you make $1 billion? Did you make $1 million? Did you make 100,000?
That's a great
Did you make
political argument. That's a fair
$10,000?
political
Did you make
argument,
1,000? Or are you in debt right now? And if you're in debt right now, the man in the White House is profiting off of you. And that is my biggest issue. The corruption is there, but I'm not sure the voters care about that. But I do think the voters care about them suffering while this man gets rich on their
Ashley Allison is absolutely right, and I think she's also pointing out something even bigger. Donald Trump has been making money off the American people. Everywhere he can, he finds a way to benefit himself. Years from now, people will still be writing books, articles, and documentaries uncovering new examples of the corruption that took place while Trump was in office. So when Adam Mockler tells Joe Borelli, the MAGA potato, that Trump is the most corrupt president in American history, or at least in modern history, it's hard to argue there's anyone who comes close. Donald Trump has reportedly made more money while serving as president than all previous presidents combined. So when Joe Borelli claims he cares about politicians profiting from public office, it simply doesn't add up. If that were really true, his biggest concern would be Donald Trump, the person who benefited the most. But here's the part that always gets me. And I wish Adam Mockler or Abby Phillip or someone else on the panel would point it out whenever MAGA figures like Joe Borelli or Scott Jennings go on CNN. No matter what the topic is, their answer always comes back to, yeah, but what about Biden? At this point, they could honestly put that on a title card because it's the same response every single time. What makes that argument so strange is that MAGA supporters constantly say Joe Biden is the worst president ever, while Donald Trump is the greatest president ever. If that's what they truly believe, then why are they always comparing the greatest president to the one they claim is the worst? It would be like a football coach getting fired after spending 5 years with a team without winning a single game. Let's call that coach Joe. Joe gets fired because he never won. Then the team hires a new coach named Donald, and everyone says he's so much better than Joe. But after a few years, Donald also ends up with a losing record. When the team decides to fire him, his response is, yeah, but what about Joe? Look at all the games Joe lost. The team would simply say, that doesn't matter. We're still letting you go because we want someone who can actually win. That's exactly how this argument sounds. Imagine defending Donald Trump by saying, yeah, but Joe Biden, the guy I believe was the worst president ever, did bad things too. If Joe Borelli and the rest of the MAGA crowd really believe Trump is the greatest president, shouldn't they be holding him to a much higher standard than Joe Biden? If Biden was supposedly as terrible as they claim, then Trump should be expected to do much better, not be excused for doing the same things, or in some cases even worse. That way of thinking just doesn't make sense to me. What's even more surprising is that so many MAGA supporters watch commentators like Joe Borelli or Scott Jennings on Abby Phillip's show and cheer them on. They argue that Biden was awful while insisting Trump is better, even when they end up defending the very same behavior or something even extreme. I honestly find that kind of propaganda incredibly strange. But let me know your thoughts in the comments.